Live.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Talk Story with DJ and Kanila. I am Kanila. He is DJ, and we're here to talk story about comics, art, and, well, whatever we feel like. All right, let me go ahead and take a moment, and I will share the fact that we are live. Share to feed. Copy, paste, paste, share. All right. So, DJ,
Topics. Go ahead.
now, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you some questions, like just general, hey, how you doing questions. How you doing?
I am not ready for Maui Comicon, but I'm going to get ready for Maui. Come, son. I'm going to get ready after this.
Uh, it's called Con
Hawaiian
Scramble.
time. Oh, Hawaiian time.
Yeah, and it's just Con Scramble. It's always like this for everyone. In the
Yeah.
very last minute, you forget about things. And I should have packed that. I should have did this. And then you go to the con and you have what you have and you don't have what you don't have. And you're like, well, screw it. Let's just go. It always happens. Everyone has that problem.
Yeah, but what you don't understand is like I literally started packing right before this, like today.
Yeah,
'Cause I've
no,
been-
I did pack a bunch of stuff, but I'm gonna have to repack it again tomorrow. I mean, all I packed was like table stuff. I didn't pack any clothes or anything like that yet.
Oh, it's fun. I was looking for my tablecloth for my conventions. I couldn't find a
Mm.
tablecloth. Asked my wife. She couldn't find a tablecloth. So I text Todd. Todd, you got an extra tablecloth? He texts back. Yeah, I get yours from last year.
Hey,
I
On's here. Hey, On, how you doing?
and you can grab them for me.
This one looks really nice. Who's
I'm
drawing
sorry.
on this, or who's inking this? Are you inking this, Vanilla?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah, this is the image drawn by, and DJ and I were talking about it before we went live. This is an image drawn by Joe Quesada. It has
Mhm.
Wolverine and the White Queen, and he patterned it after uh, in hello. Oh, thank you. Wait, why am I hearing it again? I gotta turn off the volume here. Turn off the volume. There we go. I'm like talking, and I'm like, wait a minute. I can hear me talk on this question from before, and I'm like, oh, that's because I'm looking at the screen so that I can see anyone posting. Hey, Swanee, how you doing, man? Looking forward to hanging out with you tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday.
Yup.
Yup.
What's up?
Anyway, this image is patterned after Alphonse Mucha, who was a 19th century poster artist of all things. He
Mhm.
did advertisements and labels and posters and stuff. But Joe did this nice image, and I wanted to practice something more finished. Um, it would make a nice talking piece for our uh, convention panel on Saturday morning at 10 o'clock when DJ and I will talk about inky comics.
What's up,
Oh,
Brent?
that'll be a good one.
Hey,
And
how's it, Mr.
Swan said,
Okamuda? So, Comicon, Maui Comicon is this weekend, 9th and 10th at UH Maui. It is a free um, convention. Everyone's welcome there, and go and patronize your favorite artists or even artists that you've never met before. We will appreciate your patronage. That means buy stuff.
Swan
It's
said, looking
good.
forward to seeing you again. It's going to be an awesome con. Can't wait to meet you as well. If you never meet Swan yet, you're gonna meet Swan. He's so awesome.
Yeah.
He's like one of the best, like, one of the biggest supporters for local artists. Awesome guy.
Well, he's also a local artist himself.
Yeah,
Ooh, okay. Yeah,
it's
no,
usually the
I
way.
went through the list of the local artists that's gonna be there. It, a lot of them I've never met before, so it'd be great to see them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
get
a
some new
good number of
names.
artists from Maui itself in this con. So
Yeah. Yup.
So you guys were talking about packing, not ready, y'all.
yeah, no,
Already.
nobody's ready. Come on. I still have to get all those prints from you that you're gonna print tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop by. I'm gonna
Yeah,
drop by and
even if I'm not here, my friend who Gus will be here, and he knows that
right.
you're gonna be stopping by. So
Yeah, I'll just ding dong, make a loud ruckus.
yeah.
But yeah, no, it's, I don't, I'm mostly packed. Like, I have my clothes out. I just need to pack toiletries and then my mom's stuff into the suitcases, and that's it. Yeah. I hate waiting to the last minute. I have anxiety. I always pack or start packing about at least a week or no, 2 weeks in advance. I always start packing. Yeah.
Well, I did pack a bunch of stuff that I knew I was gonna need a while ago,
Mm,
um, but yeah, it's not always complete. And I was talking about to DJ about this. You know, no matter how much you prepare for a con, you always end up with the con scramble at the end, at like the
yeah.
last minute before you leave. It's like,
Yep.
oh my gosh, do I have everything? Do I have everything? And then inevitably, you don't have everything. So you just
No.
go to con and you don't worry about it.
Yeah. I
And
wish
then
I had more. I was trying to get issue 6 done before the con, but then once I had the surgery and then I had to do 80 guns and all of that, which is a good thing. You know what I mean? I got another project out of them. I got in the long run, I'm gonna get more books out of them. You know what I mean? So,
yep.
but
Mm,
there's this one there's this one family that comes to see me every year, and oh man, like broke my heart because last year, like the son, he read like all the issues. Like he went back and he read them all just for refresh his mind, thinking that I'm gonna have another issue. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so this, at
mm,
least we get the preview book. Like you know what I mean? At least I get something for show the guy. Like you know what I mean? But
yeah.
you know, when you see those fans, like they're actually reading the story. They're not just
Right.
buying the books, collecting them, and slabbing them, or just putting them away and whatever. You know what I mean? They're actually
Right.
reading the
Right.
story. That's the kind of creator I want to be. I want to be the guy that like people read the story. Like you know what I mean? They open them up, they follow along with the story, not just like, oh yeah, I got your book, and then they never ever read them. Like you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Oh,
I
I
like
get
you.
you.
I don't know what you gonna do with them, but still, yeah. At the end, I rather people actually read them and talk about the story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do know what you mean. I mean, that's the whole point of making comics, right? Is that you want people to read them.
Yeah,
Right.
but when you start making comics and you start selling them, you start realizing that there's a lot of people that will buy your book and they won't read it, which is kind of good because a lot of times they'll buy the same issue. Like, let me tell you, issue 1 of Exilian has been the most profitable book I have ever had. You know why? Because I got a lot of variant covers, and people who don't read the book, they will buy it because they don't have this cover, and they buy them. And it's like the ones that read the story, they know, okay, this is issue 1. I already read them, right? Which is
Right.
the kind of fan that I want. But at the same time, when I only have issue 1 and I sell them again and again and again and again and again and again and again, and people don't, they're still happy. I was like, all right, this is a very profitable book, so I keep bringing in issue 1, and I'm
Yeah,
gonna
why
bring in
not? Right?
recolor, and we're gonna probably do another cover on that one, and those people will buy that cover too. You know what I mean? And if I get Wayne Lowe for doing another cover, yet we'll have more covers. You know what I mean? So I'm not complaining about those kind of people that buy it, but I'm such a story guy. You know what I mean? I'm the
Oh
guy
yeah.
that I I open a comic. I get comics that is in bad condition, but I love these comics. You know what I mean? They're in bad shape.
Well,
I
it's
slab them.
like the library book, right? You don't want a
Yeah.
library book that's never been opened. You want a library book that's been opened, right? So
Yep. Yep. That's
so
that's just
what are you working on today?
I'm working on finishing up some Funkos because I have to drop it off at Evolving Realms in Kaimuki tomorrow before I head off to Maui. So
Okay,
I do like a weekly drop off with them. Whenever I
right.
have a little bit of time, I try to get some stuff done because I'm grateful things are moving from the shop. So that means I need to fill up the shelf again.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I'm working on
It's
those,
cool
and
that you
then
made something that you found something that's pretty profitable.
it came out of nowhere, to be honest. It's like it was during the trip last year, and I had to fill in shoes for um another artist at the time, and then that person promised to do some Funkos for the host, and they couldn't make it. Um, and I just fell in the shoes and I did the Funkos, and then after
Yeah,
that, I came back home. And I was like, oh, that was fun. Let me buy some for myself and draw on it. And then I took it to like very small event during December, like it was the last show. And then I just had it out and people were getting interested. Next thing I know, I was just buying Funkos just to draw more on, and it became a big thing. Yeah,
wow.
it's only been since this really December last year when it really like started to take off, and yeah, here I am. I have a
Nice.
tower of Funkos right here. It's a
well,
problem.
it's that actually brings up an interesting question, and it's not on my list of things to talk about, but
Mhm.
it is something pertinent to us. So, notoriously, comic art and comic artists, after so long, they stop getting work in comics, um, and then it becomes difficult to make money. So,
Right.
there's a lot of things that people are doing nowadays to try to either make that so that's not an issue, by either you know creating their own kind of retirement plans or things like that. Is that something that you have either of you have started thinking about with regards to art, or is because your art is I don't want to say hobby, but it kind of is at the moment since we're not doing it full time. Um, are you not that worried about it,
Mm,
like retiring and that kind of stuff?
mm.
Is that something either of you are worried about
I-
having to work to do as you get older?
The way I look at it, it's different because my my art is well, so I had to shift the way I thought about my art. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
In the beginning, I wanted to, this was the end all be all. Like I wanted to be, you know, the career artist, right?
yes,
But then reality hits, and then you cannot. You realize that it's not feasible. Like and it's not that it's not feasible. It's just not. It's not realistic for me. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it could be if the market was better for upcoming, like for new. I don't know what it is. The market is weird, and it always has been weird. And anyways, so I found, so now it's different. So now it's like I uh I see this more as like um it's a hobby, but it's also a passion. So it's
yeah,
kind of like um I'm gonna be doing this till I die anyway. I'm probably gonna retire and then be able to do this full time. Like you know what I mean?
yeah.
Because
Hmm.
I mean, unless by some miracle, you know what I mean, like our books take off and then we can actually do this for a living, which is, would be nice. But I don't know how to. I don't know what that looks like. Honestly, I really don't know what that looks like. And I mean, I think that's a great problem to have because it's something I always wanted. But being realistic about them is like, if it doesn't happen, at least I can do them. At least I get time for do them, and you know what I mean. I can like I just appreciate the fact that I can do them. Like you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
I do know exactly what you mean, and that's an interesting thing because I kind of feel the same way at the moment. I'm a full time teacher in the Hawaii public school system, and I do this as on the side
Mm-hmm.
because I get some major satisfaction from this. It's like
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe how satisfying it is to make these things where I'm at in my life today, and it doesn't even feel like work. It doesn't feel like I'm working. I mean, I know it is. I know I'm spending time and energy and effort, but it still doesn't really feel like work. I'm
Yeah.
having too much fun, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Think for
And
me,
that also,
oh, go ahead.
this actually brings up an interesting point.
What's up,
Um,
no?
yeah,
No.
hey, no, good to see you. Um, Alika, the owner and proprietor of Maui Comics, who is kind of the guy in charge for Maui Comicon that we're going to,
Oh,
sent a sample pack of comics to writer Gail Simone
mm-hmm.
and included some of the books that Chris Carvalho does.
Right.
And she read them and she was ecstatic. And the post that she writes about it was really praising Hawaii comics. And she said, even to the point where she said, if she knew more about local culture, she would write a Sister
Yeah.
Shark story tomorrow. That's what
Right.
she said in her post, and I thought
Mhm.
that was really cool. Um,
Yeah.
if we could get more people to in the mainstream comics to comment like that or to recognize the talent that's out here, I have a feeling that there's a possibility that we could actually start seeing real um,
Yeah.
success
Yeah. I know what you
doing
mean.
these
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. And I
Um,
think that we just work. We just do the books. Like we just do what we. Alika, what's up, brother?
Aziraliko.
You know what? I don't know if Alika can come, but I'll send you the link anyway, brother. Just because we want to show some love to Maui Comic Con. Show some love. And if you,
Yeah, speaking of Maui Comic Con, when we plan or talk about what we're going to talk about during the convention, I mean during the week, we write this little list of ideas about one of the things that we're going to talk about. The very first thing on our list this week was to talk about Maui Comic Con. So, Maui Comic Con is this weekend. We talked about it already, but can't hurt to talk about it some more.
yep. But yeah, anyways, getting back to what I was saying, if we just do the like. So I'm happy for Chris because he posted how he was over the moon about that, right? And it was just great.
Yes.
That's exactly the response you want. You know what I mean? I was like, right on, Chris. Like, right on. Like, and we just
Someone just recognizes the effort and the ability, which is awesome.
You remember the time you picked me up in Oahu? I had the same conversation with Chris, and he was at the same place because you know, he's he's a police officer, right? He's gonna
Yeah.
retire, so you know what I mean? Living in Hawaii is expensive. It's not. I mean, people. So it's amazing when people come over from the mainland with all their mainland money and all the mainland economy, and they think we're living in paradise and we're struggling over here. Like, you know what I mean? And
Oh yeah.
so, we
No,
had a
trust me, I
conversation,
know, but most.
and then, but then, we just come to this point where it's like, you know what? We just do the books that we want to do. Just
Yeah,
draw the books
and
that just this is life, bro. Just put them all on the page. Like, you know what I mean? Like, forget about expectations. Forget about all of that. Just go for it. Like, you know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
go for it. Do what you want to do. Do what you're passionate about. If you don't like doing them, no do them. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's how I'm. Like, I'm picky about projects that I do because I just not gonna do them. If I cannot put my 100% inside a project, I'm not gonna do them. So you know what I mean? Like, hey, there's the guy. There's the guy, Alika. But if my heart is into that project, I don't care. Like, I'm gonna do them. Like, I've done so I did the that work with Brooke
Yeah.
Hutchins, and gonna
Yeah.
be that's gonna be featured inside the that Maui Strong that Carl Shinyama is putting together. But
Yep.
anyways,
I'm
that
doing one with. Yeah.
I it's because and Brooke is awesome. So anyways, I met Brooke, and then I just some people you just resonate with them. You know what I mean? You just resonate with them, and
Really,
she's on
I don't know
Twitter, and
anything about that, DJ.
you know what I mean. You know what I mean. But anyways, so I resonated with her, and then I was like, I gotta do something. And she was bugging me for a long time, and I was, how I am. I'm busy, and I get so much things going on, and then she had to wait patiently, and she did wait patiently until finally I was able to do that project, and then now we can put them in that Maui Strong, in that book. You know what I mean? But it's stuff like that is like, okay, like this is worth doing. They're not gonna do them. Sometimes people ask
Yeah.
me for do stuff, but sorry, I cannot do them. My heart not gonna be in them.
It's
Like, you know what I
yeah.
mean? I'm not gonna be in them, and I'm not gonna give you my 100. What you looking at, what you like about me, is because I gave you 100% on that page, 110% on that page. If you gonna hear me for doing that and I'm not in it, and I give 80%, I gonna feel like crap. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. No, I hear you. It's Hey, how's it,
Guys,
Ligo? What's going on, man?
how you guys doing?
good. Not ready as always, but
Living.
coming
Hey,
in.
me too.
We can't
So
see his face though.
We're oh my thing's behind the text box. It's all good. Nobody needs.
nobody needs to see his
I'm
face. I'm kidding, of course.
I'm excited to see you guys.
I am excited
Yep.
to see you guys too. I'm excited to see the comics that I shipped to you.
I still haven't been able to crack that box yet. I'm getting
Yeah,
to
that's
it.
all right, dude. Not worried. It'll get cracked at some point.
Oh yeah, you know that.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Oh, I heard you talking about Gail Simone.
Oh yeah,
Post-
dude, that's dope.
Yeah.
Every time I talk to somebody with a platform, I always send them a curated box. I send them a letter explaining a little something about the creators involved and maybe a little synopsis if I can fit on the letter. I always do that when I send out something to somebody with a big platform. I've done that for Cartoonist Kayfabe. You folks have been featured there. They're a great comics channel. Gail Simone, humongous Twitter following among comics Twitter people.
Oh yeah, no, huge.
That is the mission. That is 100% the mission of the Maui Comicon is to support locals. This is I'm always reluctant to say it because I'm not trying to rub anybody the wrong way, but we are the only local convention. We are the only for us by us convention, and
Right.
I'm so proud of what the convention is. We don't have to lean on that as an identity crutch, but it's important to know that this convention is, if you want a local convention, local comics experience, this is really the most serious game in town.
Yeah.
Well, I agree, and I appreciate. I'm sure there's lots of other creators appreciate that it's free. That's not something that you get from non-local cons, right? It's
It'll
all about money, 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 and there's nothing wrong with that. But
Hawaii is a commodity to a lot of people,
Right.
but you can tell when it's local because locals know we need something free. Period.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
or the when it's free.
yeah. DJ and I were just talking about that, with regards to, what our plans are for, hey, retirement is a thing, right? And comic creators tend to not have work after a certain age. And the question essentially was, how are you preparing for it? And the cost of living sprung up in our conversation because it's a big thing here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And what's interesting is we locals, we know how to make it work. It's not always fun. We know how, right? You know,
So they,
well, see, back in the day, spam actually used to be inexpensive.
you know what?
So
You know what's funny
always,
is he has the salmon.
okay.
Even though it's more expensive than it should be at like $2 something a can, it's still apparently the cheapest in the nation.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I go easy with promoting spam because the next thing you know, they're gonna raise the price on that too. Like, you know what I mean? Bro, all the cheap food, just shut up about them because the minute you live in a culture is like, oh, I gotta blow up the next big thing, and then
Right.
so everybody, oh, so this is, you guys like this? Okay, right on. We're gonna raise the price on that too.
Hey, but you know what?
That didn't already happen with poke. Oh my
Corned
gosh,
beef hash is already expensive, so I'm gonna shout out corned beef hash right now.
Oh yeah, yeah. Corned beef hash is expensive. Yeah.
Oh, somebody posted something. Who posted it? Nobody posted it.
No,
Okay.
my
Looking back.
Sorry, I had to fix my signal.
That's right. So, let me go back to our list of conversation pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Let me jump the one I had previously and go to this one since Alika will actually have a knowledgeable commentary on this. Slabbing of comics. How do you all feel about that? And is it actually worth doing? Oh,
I have no idea. I don't know anything about slab comics, so I
I
don't even.
personally don't slap.
Look,
Alika, go.
I as a comics guy, I'm gonna say this: my entire collection is no slab. I mean, when I first learned what a CGC slab was, I was baffled. I was like, "What do you mean? So you put it in a case and you can't read it? Like what?" Honestly, it's the purpose of the comic. And now I understand it's like training wheels. You know,
Mhm.
I use this language in my store, and I'm not trying to insult people, but I'm trying to get them up to speed. If you're a collector, you should be able to grade your own books and value them properly. And CGC being a third party is like training wheels for that. That's like if you want to get into the hobby and you're probably getting into books that are way over your head if you need to have them slabbed.
Yeah.
You know, but it's training wheels. It helps you establish a valuation and you know, sometimes books are so valuable they require a third party, but really most collectors that I know how to grade their own books, and that's the big boy way to do it is catch your raw books and grade your own books and you live or die by the sword, you know.
Right. Now, I agree with you. I believe that comics should be available and able to read, right? So slabbing them does make it so that that's not possible. The
Right.
only situation that I like the idea of slabbing a comic is for signatures and
Artwork.
like when once I get to my books that we GJ and I just made, I'm gonna have a few slabs for archive purposes because it is protected in a high tech kind of thing that will protect it very well, and it's nothing to do with trying to create something that can sell for more in the future. It has or for even for the grading, it's all about preservation of something that I want to keep, like signed comics and like things that I've worked on, things that I want to have for posterity, for my kids and for their kids, my kids' kids.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I totally get that. Like it creates, you know, a nice memento, a nice token of that time. It's official, it's recognized. You know, I get all of that. And, and no, I sell CGC books, right? I sell graded books. Uh they're a part of the market right now. It's not like I'm advocating for everybody to break every slab they see, but it in just talking with the people who are really about comics, who are really about the appreciation of art, the majority had the same reaction I had when they learned what CGC and grading was. You're just like, you put it in a case and then you can't read it again. It's kind of like you got to wrap your head around the concept first before before you can participate.
Right.
I think like for me, it's a it's to each his own, right? It's like some people collect the slab or slab it for the novelty of like, hey, I have this prize that you think. It's like that's what makes them happy. But I think like if you're gonna collect the slab, buy an extra copy to read. It helps
Yeah, yeah,
it helps out the market too, you know? If you're going to the extent of slabbing it, means you value it to an extent. So put in some time and effort to get to know what you're slabbing as well, like inside and out. Not just here, slap my book, bye. Oh,
Sure.
I
Right.
got it up on the wall, right?
On I'll say that we live in the age of the reprint, and we live in the age of the collection and the omnibus and the trade paperback. So we're lucky that way. There are other ways to read what we have.
Right.
So first printing's valuable. Sometimes, you want to maintain that value. That's
Mm.
certainly understandable. But, I'm kind of crazy. I like reading the first prints, and especially if it's a Silver Age or Bronze Age book, I love the smell of the comics, of the age and
Yeah.
you know,
I like
yeah,
seeing
Wow.
like the interior, even the like the yellowed out or whatever. I like that.
yeah.
yeah. Me too.
They'll never, I mean, they really should, but they'll never use newsprint to mass produce comics again. And there's just something so great about that old newsprint interior, that soft, delicate page that, could be destroyed just by the wrong kind of humidity air.
Yeah, yeah,
Walking
yeah.
on the edge. Yeah. Yeah, all of mine are non-slab. I have 3 collections that I like to keep for myself, but they're not slapped at all.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, you gotta get in there and check them out and experience them. You know,
Yeah.
it's a part of the whole experience.
Hmm.
All right. That's our first topic, slabbing comics. I do have a number of comic slabs myself. Um, I plan on slabbing a bunch more, but again, they're mostly going to be signatures on things that I've either worked on or things that are important to me. One of these days, I'm going to get Walt Simonson to slab my Beta Ray Bill first appearance, and I will be a happy camper.
Nice.
All right. The next question that I have on our form: what is style?
Hey, can I say my favorite take on style?
Go for it.
My favorite take on style is I forget what artist said this. Maybe it's Steranko. Somebody on that level. But style is what you do wrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that I learned from an old Will Portacio video called Conversations with the Comic Book Greats, I believe.
I
And
have a I have that entire 13 VHS series.
yeah, I know, right?
I-
There's some good stuff in there.
it's so good.
But Will said that style is simply your mistakes that you constantly do in attempting to recreate reality or what's natural. So if you do your knees like this all the time, right? If that's your knee right here, and you do it consistently, that's not really what a knee looks like, and that can be considered your style.
Mm.
I couldn't agree more.
What about you guys?
I-
On DJ, you have any feelings or anything you want to talk about when it comes
I
to style?
struggled. Yeah, I struggled to find what style was until you told me that. It's your consistent mistake. I was like, okay, I can live with that because like I never really understood a style, and I felt like even right now I'm still learning a lot. I'm still at that stage, and I'm really new to still to all this, but yeah, I still haven't really figured out like what is my so-called style. But if I look at my mistakes, then some stuff stands out. My mom always say I have too big of a thigh to draw on people, so that's one. So I was
There's
like,
no such thing as two big thighs. We like the badonks.
I know, I like the badonks, but that's one of the ones.
Yeah.
Is it just me, or is do you guys hear on roboting out like the audio?
No, I
I'm
could
sorry.
hear on that one.
Oh, okay. Alrighty.
All right.
Anyways, Amy, we will see you there shortly. For me, style is like, yeah, I never thought about it. Like, I guess it is what you do wrong. Like, but it's also like, I think I think everybody's style is like the way you do stuff is like the way your mind takes the shortcut. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's when you gotta, I don't know, like I can't think of any examples of how to like trying to figure out how to explain what I mean. But so it's like when you gotta put into lines what you see in front of you, it's not always easy, and so you're gonna
Right.
do your version of them, and then after a while you kind of you see the drawing and you work out what you don't like about it, and even if it's not correct, even if it's not anatomically correct or whatever it is, it's not, because a lot of what we do, especially in comics, a lot of it is exaggerated, and
Hmm.
but it still works. Like, you know what I mean? So when you find
Right.
that sweet spot of what works and what it's supposed to be and the way it registers in people's brains, that's your style. Like everybody has their own style. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know, like if you ever look at like Jack Kirby's drawings, a lot of it is like kind of weird, but it works. You know what I mean? You know exactly what it's supposed to be. And there's a lot of artists like that where, they're good. They're the best, but still yet there's things about it's like, okay, I can see how that's not actually anatomically correct, but it works so well. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of that in comics. And I think so when you're young and you just get attracted to style and there's no substance underneath, you know what I mean? So you
Yeah.
just go all in on style, and I'm guilty of that. I keep talking to you guys about Jim Lee and being a Jim Lee clone and being a Joe Mad clone, like, you know what I mean? Like a lot of us kids was like aping these styles, you know what I mean? Then you realize when you start drawing, it's like, oh, if Joe,
I have a question, real quick. Is
yeah,
anybody else's connection seem like it's really bad right now, or is it just mine?
I hear like one crunching sound.
I'm gonna
I
leave the
think
studio and then I'm
it's
gonna come back and see if my connection improves with that. Give me a
Well,
minute.
it's better now. Did you? Because I heard that, but it's better now.
Was that
okay.
crunching sound?
Everything is everything is HD right now. We're good. Whatever you guys did,
Hey,
and then
left anyway. DJ, I
Yeah.
want to say on that end, what you were saying about style, because I just like saying style is what you do wrong because it's funny, right? But
Right.
style can equally be what you do right. If it's just not as funny to say it that way. It doesn't have the same
Nah,
impact.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it's what you consistently bring into your lexicon, your language of, it's just your consistent things that you can be counted on to have present in your work, you know?
Yeah.
Consistency. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's consistent.
exactly. See, and the consistency, like you, and it's like the consistency in which you get something purposely not correct. Like you know what I mean? Like it's like you
Yeah.
doing them that way purposely, and you know it's not technically correct, but still you just can't help doing them. You're gonna do them. I draw my characters with, of course, get big muscles, right? But the elbows are really big, and the forearms are really big. You know, and I do that on
Yeah.
purpose. You know what I mean? And it's like I don't know, man. Just being raised by big Hawaiians, we all get big hands. Like you being slapped a couple times by, you know what I mean, like by the right Hawaiians is like, yeah, the hands is that big, like you know what I mean. But still, yeah,
Yeah.
just that's the way I see them. Like you know, that's the way I see them. That's the way I don't know. It's just the way I interpret. That's what it is. Interpretation. The way your mind interprets the things that you see into lines, and then that goes out into the world. You know what I mean, or on the page.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's your processing of your experience and your, how you bring it to the world. It's so much stuff because some of it's intentional and some of it just you can't help it. And both are equally your style. It's not, so you can't even say style has something to do with your intention, really. It's just something that's there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, how we doing? Are we still roboting out, or what's the deal?
I'm good now. But it was like literally roboting out for a while. It
Yeah.
probably was just my connection.
For a little while, on was roboting out, and then I heard, but I'm wondering if I have too much tab. I'll close some tabs.
For me, Canelo was roboting, and Alito was just black screen, and then he shows up, and then it goes black, and then he shows up.
Oh, see, on was just
Yes,
roboting.
technical difficulties, the stuff of legends.
See right there when you just was talking, and
Yeah.
my feed on was roboting. You know what I mean?
Wow.
I don't know what that means. Is it the connection? I don't know.
That's
I'm
what I
not sure.
suppose. I think it is the
Yeah.
connection from somebody. My connection was pretty bad for a little while.
I think
toast.
I think it's me. I think it's me, guys, because when I close out the window to answer a text, because I've got to respond to a lot of people right now. I think that's when the roboting happens.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're busy. You're busy.
So I'm glad to see you guys, and I can't wait to see you this weekend. But I'll let you guys get to it because I'm definitely probably the problem here.
All right, dude. It was good talking with you. Thanks for stopping by.
We'll see you soon.
Wait, before you go, what's the deal tomorrow night? What's going on?
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night. Like anybody hanging out or what? I get it tomorrow this way. Okay, I guess he's over here. Alika, you heard? Oh, I don't know. Oh well, I'll just call Todd and see what's going on.
Call Minardi.
All right. Okay, next question.
All right.
Next
topic. Now that Alika's gone, I'll go back to the actual topic here. We talk about stabbing comics, portfolio reviews. I know DJ has an opinion about portfolio reviews.
Oh.
Have any of you done portfolio reviews?
Yes. Did you do portfolio reviews?
Like getting my portfolio review or reviewing someone?
Yes.
Your portfolio review.
Let's just say my last year's tour. I call it my paid for booth camp. So every place I go to, ever since I stepped into like officially into this comic industry, I just went and network and talk, and with their permission, I would bring my portfolio over. And then I had to learn, luckily from Amy, um, she taught me what to put into my portfolios to bring to these folks. But at first, I was just bringing a whole binder. I didn't know what what I'm supposed to or not. At the time, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do in comic yet. I was just
Mm.
kind of being led all over, right? So it's like, if you want to be a cover artist, and what you want to do with your art. That was like one of the question that I got asked the most when I brought it to all these folks. And then it was exciting to be able to talk to all these bigger guys, and for me, comic is still well, it's not as new to me as it was when I went around. Um, so now I have a clear understanding of like who I was actually talking to and like their breadth of work. But
Right.
then at the time, I kind of just came up and was like, "Hi, you look like you know what you're doing. I don't. And here, chop away, chop liver. Just chop my portfolio. Just tell me." And I've
Yeah.
had
I actually remember doing that to your portfolio.
You did my portfolio review. You were the first, actually. The first professional portfolio review I had was actually with Uncle Camilla. Um, and yeah, no, the thing I remember you told me I was like you mentioned at all was you had I had good colors. That was about it.
Yeah. Well,
And you
this
just left it.
is what I remembered. What I remembered is that I wanted you. I saw in you um, promise, but you were all over the place. You didn't really just focus on anything and do anything really well. You kind of went everywhere,
Yeah,
and your line work was very liney. There was no
yeah,
spotting of blacks. There was no heavy areas of
nothing. Yeah,
there's no contrast really. It was very just everything was the
line.
same, and that was
Yeah,
the one thing I wanted you to work on was adding more blacks um, into your work because
yeah.
you're lacking in that a lot.
Mm-mm.
But I did
Yeah.
notice very early on that you had a lot of promise. Like one of the things I like about you on is that you're like you work. You recognize that you're not going to get any better without practice, and you're not going to get any better without doing. And
Right.
some people think that they're perfect now and they don't need to work on anything. And I know it's not any of my friends because I would give them hell if they thought that. But it's a common thing, especially nowadays, for people to lie to themselves about their ability, saying that I'm the best there is and you should hire me when they're really not, right? I see that a
Right.
lot with kids. It's like they like to say that they're really good at whatever it is they do, that they're the
Mhm.
best, and they're
Mhm.
not. And it's I don't know what it is about this culture thing lately where lying to yourself is supposed to be confidence. That's not confidence. That's just lying to yourself.
Yeah.
Confidence is
I
when you know you're not great, but you're trying hard, and so you mention it. Hey, I'm not great, but I'm trying hard. Here's what I have. That's still confidence, and
Yeah.
it's humble confidence.
I
No, but
had
in confidence, it's like you should be confident enough to take the criticism. Like you know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
right.
Take the criticism, let the work stand for itself. That's confidence. You know what I mean? Like
No,
I
absolutely.
think the focus that would come from the focus being placed in the wrong place. I was that cocky at one point. I was that cocky
oh
when
yeah,
I
everybody was.
went
I think what it was.
this was when I was starting high school, and then I got placed in, or was kind of recommended into advanced art, right? Advanced placement art class. And I remember telling my high school teacher at the time when he was like, "Why are you rushing to be into this class? It's like it's not a class where it's gonna get you very far or anything. So like, why are you rushing to go in there when there's more art classes you can just play with, you know? And I like all my art teachers in high school. I never went to formal school, but for art, but the art teachers in middle school, high school, they were very supportive because I love to draw. So I always go in on Saturdays during middle school to draw, just utilize the classroom. So I grew up frugal in that part. But then because I had so much support from teachers like that, I and no one else around me was working as hard, and then I grew cocky because I was like, I'm the best in class. When there's no one to guide and put you in your place, I think people can become that cocky. I remember telling my high school teacher, say, I feel like I'm a pro already. And looking back, I'm very embarrassed, and I got humbled very quickly throughout the years in high school, just like learning different materials and like learning about other artists. I was like, yeah, no, I'm not there. Nope, far from it.
You know what?
And
What
yeah,
as an artist, I understand, and I like I like the I like the fact that you like you know, you arrogant and up like that that's I think like arrogance is confidence. Too much confidence goes to arrogance.
yeah,
You know what I mean? But I like
Yeah.
the fact that like overshooting in that arrogance is fine when you're young because you kind of got to learn off of rain. Like so, it's like when you're young, that's what your time for make all your mistakes. You know what I mean?
oh
And
Oh
I
yeah,
yeah.
was like really brash and really arrogant and like you know what I mean. Like I made those same mistakes too. You know what I mean? It takes being humble to rein them all in. Like you know what I mean. And so
hmm,
you know like it's fine. Like you know what I mean. Like just
right,
be whatever it is, and even if it's too much, you gotta learn how for rein those things in. Like you know what I
right,
mean. But I actually like the fact that like when people are like arrogant, like that means they believe in themselves. Like you know what I mean. Like you actually believe that you can do them, and that in itself is okay. Then you get the willpower for actually muscle through this
right.
thing. You know what I mean?
But also the thing is, I think with that arrogance, it's also a test. So if you can
Yeah,
step past it, like how I had to be
right,
humbled, right? But I still
right.
found I love the art, you know, I
Yeah.
love the craft. So my focus then shifted to how to, you know, fine tuning the craft, learning about it, expanding my knowledge. A lot of people, I think, that fall into that trap of like to stay with their ego or like being arrogant forever, you know, that kind that
Mhm,
never
mhm,
grow. It's because they their focus, I think, are placed into their own egoistic
right.
self versus the craft, versus their love for the craft. That's where you know, do you have the motivation? Do you have the love for the art to continue in
Mhm.
this? You know, I think that's where it set us apart in that sense.
Yeah, yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it's the one, again, I think I mentioned this before, but one of the first things I do when people say, ask me about how to improve and what can I do to get into comics, I tell them, don't.
Don't.
It's hard. It's a lot of work. You're not going to sleep. You're going to be up all day, all night, and on the weekends you're going to be working. It's actual work. And then
Yeah.
if that didn't scare them off, I tell them you're ready for comics. you know?
Right. And then I think with the portfolio reviews too is that they're great. They're almost like you're if you know how to ask, you know how to approach folks with your work and you're honest, you know, with yourself about where you're at, whatever comments you get back, like personally, I'm grateful because, like, first of all, anyone taking their time to take a look at your work and give
Mhm,
productive feedback, that's like they didn't have to do that, but they did. So I was like, be
yeah,
grateful for that and take what you can from it. Maybe somewhere down the road you might not agree with everything, but
right,
try to see like why are they saying this? Is there
right.
like merits to this? You know, take it all in. Always have your notepad or like on your phone now we have a phone, so type it in as they're talking, you know. or better yet, if you can, draw it, alongside with them when they're talking. So I've learned to pick that up along the way of asking so many people. And then that's another thing. It's like, I think you gotta know to pace yourself in approaching so many people with the same work, because in the end I get the same feedback. It's like, I get it, I have this one problem, they're all pointing at it, so why do I go up with the same piece of artwork that I know for sure these are the points that's being brought up by 10 guys already, come up to the 11th guy, what am I looking out of it, so
Hmm.
I think personally, like for me, I'm more intentional, or try to be intentional with who I go up and ask for critiques, and what I'm thinking, and why am I doing it, and what work am I presenting them. I'm not just shoving it whatever in front of their face,
Hmm.
so because you ask the same question to so many people, it, you're gonna go crazy at some point.
You also need to get different answers from everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then that too,
depends
it's
on the
like,
guy too. Like depends on the person reviewing, because sometimes, and we all know this. Like some people just gonna take cheap shots. Like you know what I mean, and that's just
yeah,
some people's egos just feel like, ooh, you gonna give me this opportunity for criticize your work, and then they use that as license for just attack. Like you know what I mean, and it happens. Like
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
to me those are would be easier to just dismiss out of your mind, because you're like,
Yeah,
this guy's a church, or this person's a
exactly.
jerk.
At least you get the decency
Easy.
for take them in and then discard them later.
Right. Right, but the thing is, the ones that like really do give you the feedback,
Hmm.
there's just so much information your brain is going to overload. So
Yeah.
I think before you go up to anyone for portfolio review, you really have to think it through, like, you know
Yeah.
what am I going to show them, and what does this person do, it's like, if they're a cover artist, they're going to give you tips on what looks good on a cover, what needs to be there on a cover, what I have to be mindful about. Sequential artists or storytellers have different eyes, so it's like all kind of things. So I for sure got overloaded from being pushed around to different artists to present my portfolio. I got overloaded. Luckily, I have my notepads, because then I can go back and I can look at that. But yeah, that's just been my experience with it. But yeah, but I enjoy being job liver, like, just because that's like getting. I never went to like formal art school, so that's my formal arts training to some sense in my mind.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know.
Well, I never went to formal art school either. I did take art classes in college, but that was it. And
Yeah.
trust me, no one in college in the university system, except for special schools like the Minneapolis College of Art Design or the Savannah College of Art Design, has anything to say about comics. Most fine arts department don't think that comics are actually an art form. They see them as
Mm.
commercial art, something that a real artist wouldn't do.
Mm.
And I disagree.
Yeah.
And I think over time that there are artists out there that have like debunked that, but it's still a um, for lack of a better word at the moment, it's still a trope. The idea that because it's a commercial art, that it's not really an art form.
They're just mad we're having more fun.
And making more money to a degree. I mean, if you're really good, you're making a lot more money. But then again, that mostly comes down to marketing with regards to fine arts.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Mm.
All right, I thought that was a good topic. All right, here's a good one. How do you individually break out of a creative rut? What is a creative rut? It's when you're sitting at the table and you can't figure out what to draw. and whatever you're drawing is not turning out right. What do you guys do about that?
I have more of the latter problem where
What
things
is
don't
that?
turn out right.
Uh-huh.
What did I do with that? I I've been working on it to be better about like just stepping away and go do something else like house chores or like organizing stuff or go on a walk, or
Mm-hmm.
scheduling with friends to go hiking and stuff to like to do something to get blood flowing in my brain and like just remove myself from that situation because I think a lot of people might relate where you just sit there and you're just like it's unsatisfying to leave it.
Right.
So for me it's been to just step away if I can, just step away for a little bit and then come back later. Shower's a good one too. Taking a shower.
DJ, you
Uh,
ever have that kind
yeah,
of situation?
yeah, all the time. I mean, sometimes, sometimes when I'm at that point, it's like I just gotta walk away. Like you know what I mean? I gotta
Right.
stop. Sometimes it's like I'm just too much. Like you know what I mean? Sometimes I just gotta be like, okay, I gotta put this down. I gotta just recalibrate my brain. And sometimes, and I'll go. My brain is weird. Like so, I'll go creative for a long time, for like long bits of time, and that's just I guess conditioning. But then there's a point in time where like I cannot I cannot do anything already. Like my like I'm burnt out. Like the creative juice is gone. Like I used them all. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Because I use them all. It's like no sense push them. No sense forcing that. It's like I gotta rest that part of my brain, and I gotta watch, like I gotta be inspired again. Like I gotta fill up on the inspiration again. You know what I mean? And
mm.
then I gotta then when I'm ready to go, I'll be good. You know what I mean? But usually I
Mhm.
don't have that problem. Usually it's like the opposite. Usually like I'm all day long. I'm like, oh my god, I wanna do this and I wanna do that and I wanna draw this and I wanna draw that. All all during the day when I'm working. You know what I mean? Then when I get home, then you know, even it like uh most times, even if the drawings come out bad, I still have the desire to do it. It's just the execution is bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I do.
Yeah.
Um,
But
I used to have that problem. I don't really have that problem anymore. I have so many different things on my plate that when I don't have something I want to work on that I'm working on, and I'm like, I don't want to do this right now. I just start working on something else. I've got so many pots in the fire, so to speak, right? So
Mm,
right now I'm doing this because I thought it would be a good idea since DJ and I are going to be doing a panel on inking at Maui Comicon at 10 a.m. Saturday morning. Be there. Um, Maybe I should jump in and finish inking a piece to show there, or maybe get it to a point where I can like do it and then finish it, make the last few strokes at the panel. As it'd be a good example of what to do. And so I'm working on this one, right? But if I didn't do this, I've got pages of DJ's comic of Excellion to work on. I've got uh, ideas and plans for the future. I have a script for On's book that I'm writing that I need to finish at some point, but I don't really need to do that right at the moment because we're still figuring things out. So I have
mm,
all kinds of things that I'm working on at the same time. So I never really have this rut anymore. When
mhm.
I'm not feeling this, I move on to the next thing. And while that may or may not be the healthiest way to do it, for me lately, it's been very satisfying.
Mm.
yeah, yeah.
BC, smoke a bowl and wait and see what happens. That's some great advice. One of these days, maybe I could do that. All right, next question.
Next question.
We are a little bit late. We started late today, so we're all kind of yawny at the moment. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
All right, next question. Do either of you have an artistic philosophy? First of all, what is an artistic philosophy? I would consider it a idea or a theme that pervades your artistic endeavors. For example, I am what you would call a figurative artist. I like to draw figures. I like to draw portraits and faces, and I really lean towards that in all of my art, whether it's painting or sculpture or sketching or comics. I try. That's where my strength lies, and that's where I'm most focused on, and where I have the most experience. My philosophy about art is that I want to show the beauty of the human form, and I want to make it interesting for not just comic people or painting people or myself. I want it to be appreciated by everyone. That's my philosophy about art. Do either of you have that kind of thing, a belief system with regards to art or illustration or comics, even for that much matter?
Yeah, I had when we was talking, like when we was texting back and forth today, I was thinking about it, like, and I don't think I have one yet. But if I had to, like try and wrap my head around them, I would say that my philosophy would almost be I don't know if it's a philosophy or like a model, but anyways, it's like you gotta just do what you can do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, every artist is different, but you know what I mean? So art is kind of like, yeah, you get all of these derivative artists and they get, styles similar, but still, yeah, you can tell the difference between, it's kind of like your fingerprint, you know what I mean? Like, it's like the way you sing or the way you do something artistically, only you can do like that, pushing aside all the people that ape and copy styles and all of that. But even that, you can tell the difference, you know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
it's like you gotta be honest with yourself, you know what I mean? And I don't think that comes at first. At first you're so inspired and you just want to just do what you can do because you love it, you know what I mean? But
Mhm.
after a while, and I think maybe I'm in the process of developing minds, but I think you gotta like I realized why a lot of things that I thought was gonna be successful wasn't successful, and that's because it wasn't me being me. It was me trying to be somebody else. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so you gotta do what you can do, that only you can do the way you do them. I don't know if we'll say them the right way, but you know what I mean? Like, if
Mhm.
if everybody sound like Beyonce, then Beyonce is not Beyonce anymore, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
So but
So I
the
think what
minute
you're trying to, yeah, I think what
a
you're trying
different
to say
point.
is everyone has their own authentic self, a
Right.
way that they see themselves, and it's when we present that stuff that self in our art or in our expression that we see probably will see the most success because we're going to put the most good effort into doing that, right? We're not going to just throw it out and see what sticks, which is what I see some people do. We're going to put our best effort on the stories that we're doing because we like them, or on the pieces that we're painting because it means something to us.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
For
I
me,
want
it's
you to, to the portfolio to the portfolio only because I have so many,
So many
like,
stories about
right,
portfolio reviews.
yeah, like you know what I mean. Like it's, I mean, if you got work from that, great. But I never got I never got nothing from that. And then it's it's kind of like on scam. Like I don't know, not every portfolio review is on scam, but a lot of it is, like, you know what I mean. Like, well, back when I was doing them, anyways. Like, you know what I mean. It's like after a while you
Explain
kind
that
of
a little bit. Explain that for a little bit. Why did you feel like
okay.
they were scams?
Okay, a lot of what we do is based off of this dream that they sell you, and the dream, and they got to keep that dream alive. If they can sell you the dream that, hey, you could be this, you could be the next Jim Lee, you could be the next Frank Miller, you could be the next uh Brian Michael Bendit. They got to keep that dream alive, and they got to keep people coming to these portfolio reviews. And then of course they're trying to find, like you and I was talking about, they're trying to find that 1%, right? They're
Right.
trying to find that 1%, which is great if you're the 1%, but how much people is actually the 1%? You know what I mean? So, but they still got to be nice, because the people that they're doing portfolio reviews to is also, that's the customer base. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And they know that. They know that, and then it's, I don't know. I feel like it's like I never waste time. I kind of needed that time to learn, but then afterwards I was like, oh, okay, I understand what this is all about. This is kind of like the vetting process. You know what I mean? This is the vetting process, and then, but then you do enough of these reviews, and then you start realizing, like, okay, this guy don't even know what he's talking about. This guy know what he's talking about. This guy is going good eye for art. This guy is, this guy just gotta do the job because that's his job. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you start you start for really pick out everything. Like, you know what I mean? And it's like, okay, it kind of, you start seeing the reality, and you start seeing how much it's not actually that great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I
Anyways,
only did one portfolio review, um, and I got hammered, and it really just it didn't like dissuade me, but it made me realize I had so much work out of me. And honestly, it was that portfolio review that made me think to start coloring before I did penciling, because I felt like I was closer there than with regards to being at a pro level than I was at penciling. And it and even to this day, I still have very low self esteem when it comes to my own pencil work. I don't know that I'm any good. And even though people say, hey, you're good, my mind says you're not good. So I
Mm.
don't always um, follow through with projects that I'm doing pencil wise. So, you know, and hey, be thankful for that, DJ, because now you're drawing a book for me. But,
well, I think everybody get imposter syndrome. You know what I mean?
oh,
Like,
yeah.
especially when you're not in your comfort zone, and you just gotta, like, and you know this, you just gotta muscle through
So,
all of that. You know what I mean? Sorry, man, I'm
Mm.
gonna answer
well,
this question. You said,
it took a
who's doing that
portfolio,
so-called
not,
scam portfolio review? And I'm not saying it's a scam. I mean, yeah, I just said it's a scam, but you get they get they're trying to find a 1%, and for everybody else that is not the 1%, they're just gonna keep stringing them along. Like, you know what I mean? And it sucks when you get strung along, and you're doing this portfolio. So you do the portfolio review. Say you get hired, like, not hired. Say you get one opening. So I got the opening, right? And then all it is you get one email address, and then now you can send samples into this person. So now you get the person, that whoever's the contact, the talent scout, whatever. You get that person's email. Now they're just gonna give you one script. Yeah, draw this. They're gonna give you like 5 or 6 scripts. take care, draw this script. You send that in. Okay, cool. Work on this, and this. Okay, you work on that. You do another bunch of scripts. You send that in. And they just keep you going and going and going and going. You may never even get in. There's people that wait on. They just keep doing that, and they're not gonna get in. I watched that. There's that one show on Disney where that one Mexican guy, he finally got in. He finally, like, he was doing it for a long time. Like, he's one of the lucky. There's not enough work for everybody. You know what I mean? So
Right.
you start figuring
That's
that out. You know
obvious.
what I mean? You start figuring that out, and then it's like, you know what? I can waste my time being, and you're at the whims of this editor, and they get the pick of the litter. They get everybody called. You know what I mean? They get everybody trying to break in. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me
Yeah.
see.
TJ, tell us how you really feel.
Swan. Endless series of glass ceilings you have to break through just to make it. Yep. Yep.
Just kind of like going back to the first question about like going forth, when you get to a certain point, there's less work, right, for an artist and what you do, right? And so, like, one of my thing about being where I'm at and where I started, my biggest advantage is how young I realize a lot of these stuff, or I see a lot of these things, like, um, a lot of artists having regrets, like, oh, I never got to do my own projects, or I'm always busy, so I put out my own stuff, or, and then by the time they get to whatever period of time in their career and they get disgruntled, right? And then the struggle and stuff. Um, so I got to see all that firsthand, and then I just like after my run around last year, I just kind of had a period where I went and just kind of like it sunk into me. I was like, well, what am I doing, right? And I dug back into like why I started doing all this work, going into comic and just like what really drives me. So that's where I find that for me, fortunately, I do like the storytelling and I want to tell my own story. That's what I did before I ever went to any con. I would hide and like draw my own story. Granted, it wasn't great because it was all headshots. It was
Right.
just close up headshots,
Heads.
nothing
Yeah.
else. And so, um, it's just digging into that. Then I go, okay, then let's see where I can go with it, right? And then there's no money in comics, is what I always hear.
Yeah.
And yes, it's true. I was talking to one of my writers today. We were talking about like how he hates that to after shipping, it's almost like he has to really price up his one comic and it doesn't feel right. And I was like, well, if you don't ask people to pay for shipping and offer more thing that they can buy online so that it makes the shipping worth it, you're gonna lose a lot of money. You're not gonna make any money. You're gonna go bankrupt before you can even try to recover a little bit. You're gonna lose money either way, but you gotta recover at least a little bit. Um, so like I'm aware of a lot of things at an early start, so that's what I'm grateful for. And like for me, I luckily also I'm into like um designer toys, design. I just like to draw on clothes, on bags, on stuff. So, and I was lucky. I have a lot of people who support me and been asking for those things. So I know to spread my egg into different basket. And
Yeah.
um, I have future projects, things that I have aspiration for the future and of building up a brand that will last a long time, not just like this one novelty. So I look up and I started, not only do I study the arts from other artists that I look up to, but also the business side of things.
Yep.
I
Yep.
watch them. And that is very important. If you want to survive in this industry, you gotta know business.
Yep. Yep.
And I think that's the part for me that's where there's it's really work. Like to do
Yep.
art, to practice over and over, to draw and like mess up and then go back and practice and stuff like that. That's fun. That's the fun part for me. But then to try and
Yep.
make the money out of it to survive, that's the work.
Yep. Yep. That's the
Yeah,
work.
that
That
is
is
the
the
work.
But you know what, though? We do have something that we gotta appreciate that not a lot of generations had, and that is crowdfunding. Crowdfunding
Yeah.
is changing the game, right? I'm telling you right now. Crowdfunding is changing the game. If you're gonna work, put your work into that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because mind you, I only did one campaign, but the one campaign was profit. You know what I mean? So I just
Mm-hmm.
Oh
had
yeah.
to pay for the because I already did so I did only issue one, right? I told you guys earlier. I sold issue one about 6 different times. You know what I mean? In about 10 different
Mm-hmm.
ways. You know what I mean? But still, the only expenses I had for issue one is whatever the books cost, whatever the shipping is, and then my colorist and my letter, and I did the rest of the work. So everything
Yeah.
after that is profit. You know, so
And that is where as a artist own comic creator kind of standpoint we have that advantage. Just imagine
hmm
just being a writer, you have to pay an artist, and then you gotta pay the colors, you gotta pay the inker if you prefer that too, and you gotta pay the letter, you gotta pay an editor, you gotta
hmm
I've had publisher and writers who had to pay a, a whole line of people, and rightly
yeah,
so,
yeah.
to make their project come to life. And then after that, they they have to scramble to try and make profit, and they hurt from the cut from third parties like Kickstarter, and those crowdfunding sites. So before you go and like trying to attempt to make your own comics, like you really have to know all the logistic and see what you can and cannot do and what you need the funds for,
Yeah.
um and that. And then as the owner of the IP, you have to be the one who's most passionate about it and do a lot of the promotion. You
Hey, hey,
have to go.
hey. Why are you telling everyone my story?
Not you, I've worked with many, and I've seen people crash. And I'm just saying, you know, if you can't do it, go find someone to do it. But you cannot. But you still have to be the one hands on in the back. Say you're not very good with the publicity stuff. You have to arrange for that. You have to be the
Yeah.
one reaching out to
In this day,
people. Yeah,
yeah,
you
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 cannot
you
you
can
cannot hide
hire.
like
You
yeah.
can, but you need to have someone. If you do want to hide, if that's your preference, fine, but you have to find a way or someone to do that work for you. That means you got to shell out more money, or you have good friends, you can use them. But you know what I mean? It's like I've had publishers who were unwilling to do podcasts and stuff, and that's for their own reason. I don't know why, but that hurt them. And
hmm
I had time back then to help promote a lot of stuff. Not anymore, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So yeah, but there are resources out there. There's a lot of podcasts. There are a lot of places you can just present your stuff and go
Yeah.
talk to people. Show up at the con and talk to people and engage. That's and that would tie it into my own philosophy with art overall is it has to engage the audience. It has to make them feel some way. It gotta spark some kind of conversation among people. You know,
Oh,
I don't want it
that's
to
good.
just yeah, I don't want it to just be a pretty picture.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
has to
Yeah.
be a
Yeah.
pretty picture or a picture. I don't care if it's gross, it's nasty or whatever, but it's supposed to make people feel a certain way. And
And I'm going to steal your answer, Anne. Thank
yeah,
you. No, no, no.
yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's
This is good.
work,
This is good. That's really good, man. That's really
Yeah,
good. It has to, yeah, it has to evoke the feeling, yeah.
yeah, it has to make people feel some way. It has to engage them into conversation.
Nice. I like it. I like it. I'm stealing it.
Yeah.
I'm,
Go for it.
I'm getting way too much done on this thing.
What? Um, I've had some sleep. I slept in this morning, so my brain is working a little bit better.
Right. So you didn't work today, did you?
No, I plan in advance. I asked for
You took today off.
today and tomorrow off. Yes. Yeah,
Well,
I plan
I
in
am
advance.
unable to take tomorrow off, but I am going to try to leave work early. So,
Yes. Yeah, I think you really need some rest before that.
but I'll rest when I'm dead.
Okay. I'm running a marathon, not a sprint, so I will rest.
That's good,
That's good.
and I probably should
Mm.
too. But chances are I won't.
It's okay. You're being a typical artist.
Chances are.
Yes, I am. The artists are the reason that energy drinks exist at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm kidding. It's not really just artists, but there are a lot of artists that do it.
Not just artists. When you work in the
I'll take a
service
Red
industry.
Bull.
I actually killed my heart because of energy drinks.
Yeah, you don't do
So
that no more.
we don't want to do that anymore. But for me, um, talk a little bit on what An was talking about. There, because I'm older now, I recognize where my weaknesses are, and I've been wanting to make comics so much, but I recognize that where my weaknesses are, and where my strengths are. So I find people that whose strengths complement my strengths and overcome my own weaknesses, i.e., pencilers like DJ and On. Because whether or not I really am good or not, it doesn't matter if I don't do it. You know,
Mhm.
if I do it, whether I feel like I'm good at it or not, then I'm doing it, and who cares, right?
Right.
It requires doing, and that's a really important, I believe, point with regards to art in general. That I've spoken to hundreds of people over and over again. Man, it's so nice that you do such great art. I wish I could do that. And the answer is you don't really wish you could do that, because if you did wish you could do it, you'd actually try to do it, and you
Mhm.
don't. They just think it's a novelty for most people, but for other people like us, we want to make it work. We wanted things to look right. We want to make comics. We want to draw, and we want to have our artwork seen by people, and we want people to feel something by what they're seeing. That's, I think, probably the most important thing about what it is that we're doing and what we do in comics and in art in general, is that we want to get things done, and that's why we do it.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, that was cool. All right, here's some of An's questions. Actually, I am going. Let me answer a few questions from the comments area in our feed. Lazy
Mhm.
Harlock, Amy asks, but who's doing that so-called scam portfolio review? And I will answer that for the DJ. The portfolio review that DJ is talking about are the organized ones at conventions, usually put on by major or small publishers, Marvel or DC. It's when they have you wait in a queue or a line with a bunch of other artists to sit in front of a new talent scout editor and present your portfolio, and then they tell you what they think and what you should work on. And yes, there are some valuable pieces of information there, but it's almost it feels like a puppy mill to a degree. They just have
Yep.
100,000 people going through the line until they find maybe 10 people that have promise. They maybe one needs a little bit of help with perspective, maybe one needs a little bit of help with hands and design. And so you give them that information, and then you wait for them to improve. Or you find that 1% that's already ready. That's right now you could put them on a book and they would do really well. There are very few and far between, but honestly, those are the people that most of the time they're trying to find. And it's not, and I know that because I've actually done portfolio reviews. For DC Comics, I did color reviews, um, color portfolio reviews, and there wasn't a whole lot of them because there's not a whole lot of people that go to conventions with color portfolios. But I did at the time, I should say. But I did do them, and I kind of did feel like I was telling people to do stuff that they would either A, never do, or B, never do well. And it was a little frustrating to a degree.
I actually had um one that I went to the same company sent me to two different guys to get reviewed, and I was left very confused with it, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Because like up until that point, I went and did all my reviews with like artists and writers, and that's among
Right.
peers and people I saw on the floor, right? But I went and I did this one, I think San Diego Comicon.
Mm-hmm.
Went up there. That's the first time I found out they did something like that, to have like that whole section off where they have different booths of different companies, and you go in there right after the queues. And I was left very confused because it was a smaller publisher.
Mm-hmm.
um I don't remember exactly which position these two gentlemen held. The first one didn't really have much feedback for me at all. Like he looked through it and he was like, the stuff he said was pretty positive, but it almost felt like the kind of like what DJ said earlier. It's like you can kind of tell they don't really know, or they what to do with you, or what what to say, or like what they might not even know anything valuable to
Right.
give you, in a sense. So then he passed me off to the next guy over. And other than talking about the hands, so one of my weak things I need to work on are the hands. Those are the language, or expressive language. So I remember just taking that away. But other than that, like there was nothing else. It was just like going over and just looking, and I was just left very confused. And they both took down my information, and then I was sent along, and I was like,
Yeah.
I feel like I'd rather go back to the floor and talk. I feel like I learned more there, or like I spent my time
Oh
better
man.
down there. So I was just
There's
like, I
nobody.
just left confused. That's all I
Yeah.
remember.
And it's important that we say this. I think not all portfolio reviews are bad, and not all people giving them are giving you that either just busy work. Some of them have been really good, and some of them
Mhm.
are worth listening to. I have found personally that the best reviews that I have ever seen or heard about come from other artists. So
Yes.
you don't go to the editors, you go
Yep.
to the professional artists, and you ask them about what they think about what you're doing. And that, I think, is where you're going to get the most honest reviews and the best information to help you. So I know on that you at this last Honolulu Comic Con, you had your portfolio reviewed by some of the old pros that were there.
Mhm.
How did you feel about their review of your work?
Oh, it was spot on. Like, and I love it when they point out something like almost tendency that I do that I couldn't spot out myself. Like if you're
Right.
because I've had so many reviews, so it ended up being the same thing because like I haven't churned out work fast enough to have something new and show them. So,
Right.
but there are certain things. So I've had variety of people, uh, you know, gone over my work and at this point already. And the so can I mention them? Is that okay to
Yes.
mention
Go
them?
ahead. Go ahead.
All
Say their
right.
names. It's no
Right.
problem.
So
It's no problem.
the one that really impressed me, this is going back a little bit last year, the one that really stood out to me were Mark Silvestri, Scott Hanna, Carl Pott, and Jenkins. Yeah. So I um
Paul Jenkins.
those yes. And those guys were the one that gave me the ones that stuck out the most in my mind. Um
Mm-hmm.
Scott Hanna told me to work more on my perspective because everything is very much a straight on shot.
Yep.
Mark Silvestri say I need to work better on my composition and he told me to practice the A formation just because I have this tendency, which I didn't know until he pointed out. I try to fill the page from the corners. Like I plant my character and I fill in the background from the corners in. So I didn't know that until like he pointed it out and I looked at all my pages and I was like, oh, I do that. Oh my God. And so um I I I was like, okay, I need to work on composition, which you and you talked to me about as well. And
Absolutely.
then
At length.
right. Same thing
And it's
with
honestly, it's composition and panel layout and so forth. That is going to come with time, and you have to learn what's important and why you should do things. And it does.
right,
It's not something that you can learn on your own. You have to have somebody tell you because you'll never
right,
see it.
right. And then I also recognize that like I understand what is being said, but I really have to practice these things because there are things like recent work I was doing with you. There are tangents. There are things that I'm
Right.
like, oh
Yeah,
shoot, I do it again.
But and that's the thing, and I appreciated that you recognized after I said it. Oh my gosh, I didn't see it, and it's
Yeah,
not something that we always see in our own work, right? And
no,
it takes training. It takes us thinking about it in
yes,
order to
yes,
actually do it.
right, right. It's like so I remember key points. This is why I write them down. But I have to practice. I think it's not gonna go away unless I I really have a lot of practice and I keep doing these work over and over and remembering and it getting like flash at me like, oh, you're doing this again. Don't be dumb. Go fix it. Try again. So that's the fun part to me because like in a way like art. Another thing my dad who has no background in art pointed out when I was younger. He said I had trouble drawing ears and I sat there for hours trying to get the ears right. And he said, you know why you're struggling? Maybe it's because you don't understand it. So when my mistakes get pointed out, it gave me a chance to understand what I'm looking at or what I'm trying to convey better. So it's a fun thing for me. And then Howard Jenkins and Carl Pott, they both pretty much narrow down on my panelings, pretty much saying like I need to plan things out more. And
Yeah, I could have told you that, little girl.
right. Yes, yes. I was all over the place. I think like at least now I can kind of like see what I want to do. Before I really had no idea what I wanted to do. And but then when you go to they pretty much the perspective, like little tips on like how to get my perspective right, placement of people in the panels and how their sizing should match each other, whether they're toward the front of the panel or toward the back of the panel, they need to be proportionate to each other based on the perspective. So different
Hmm.
stuff like that in that my panels need to tie in together. A lot of things were just kind of abstract and they don't connect. They're just kind of floating. So more background. I need to pay attention more to the continuity of the panels. Like if I place a chair here in this scene and I forgot the chair in the next scene, it's like what happened? And if I'm throwing the punch at this guy in this one panel, it gotta follow through to the next panel, how he end up spitting out or reacting in a certain way. So it's just a lot of sequential
Yeah.
material that I need to work on. But and like I say, these are it's like I'm getting free lesson, by putting myself out there and just like be humble and take it all in, and work on it.
I love that stuff,
Yeah,
especially
no,
like
it's great.
when you get when good like Carl Potts is good. Like I remember we ate dinner with Amy them, and we had dinner with Carl Potts, and then he gave me um he gave me some good advice. I forget what the advice was, but I remember was something minor, but he would point them out, and he would point them out right away. Like you know what I mean? I was like, oh wow, that's
Right.
that's good. Like you know what I mean? But I like like we all students of the craft. You know what I mean? So it's like anytime we talk craft, like we're at home. Like you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I love it, especially hearing from like the old guard. Like you know what I mean? Like I can't wait
right.
for. We should get Uncle Steve on one of these shows one of these days. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And another
On Amy was
yeah.
asking on in the comments, what how was your review of your work by Howard Chaykin?
Oh yeah. So that's what I mentioned earlier. Here I have a note still that it was a lot about like my panels not being planned. Like I didn't plan nothing. Okay. Let me go back and look here. Hold on, I have it somewhere here. So I I make like little notes on here where he as he's speaking, I'm typing down, right? He's like,
Right.
there's no context. I have a lot of tangent. My figures don't relate to each other. So they told me we're not making pictures, okay? And I need I need to take advantage of the air or the white space. So pretty much putting context in there. And I
Yeah.
had this was one that I didn't notice I was doing. I was clipping and cropping um my figures badly at the
You're
joint.
cropping them
Which,
at the knees and elbows, aren't you?
yes. So he basically just say joints, and then I
Yeah.
looked at it. Yes, mostly knees and elbows. No no planning. The word was arbitrary. Everything is arbitrary. Uh,
Well, and now I'm going to share with you the one of the things I noticed about your not your recent samples, but things that I've seen in the past. One of the
mhm,
things I noticed about your work is that it looks like you have an idea for like
right.
a section of your artwork, and then you pull back and you say, okay, I got to put something here, then I got to put something here, then I got to put
Yes.
something here, and after a
Yeah.
minute, your entire image is filled with little illustrations of different
It's
things.
like a
And
montage.
right, so so and that's one of the things I noticed very early when I was looking at your stuff. And while your execution tends to be fairly good, it's the actual
The
uh,
bones is not there.
right, right, it's missing some structure. So
Yes.
that is the one thing that I always suggested. I think one
I
of the things
can
that I
help you with
talked to you
that
about
on
recently.
actually. Oh, so I mean, and I saw not a lot of your work, but just from what being the artist that I am, and I think you and I are very similar. This is one part that it gets better because this is one part where you can have fun. Is the planning stage. So if you thumbnail real small, you can see everything like in stick figure form, and it's simple, and it's very simple. And if you take that simple thing and then you blow that up and then you draw on top that, now your composition gonna be really tight because if it works this small, it'll work at every size. You know what I
Right.
mean? And that
Right.
I tell you that fun for an artist. Like that is very fun to do. So I used to do this. So I used to do them real small. I had this big sheet of paper and it was just all these
One
little
small
tiles
thing.
on it. I would draw like the whole page on top of them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just in
Right.
stick, just just small little thumbnails. But if they work small like that, then when you blow them up and then you go crazy with them, then everything will work good together. And it's hard if you drawing straight on big and then you know what I mean. Then you kind of get
Trying to
too
fix
much
things.
space. Yeah, you
Yeah.
know what I mean. Like the space is too much, and now you kind of intimidated, and you feel like, oh my god, it's not working. So you taking all of that unsurety away because you're doing that in the little form. You know what I mean? So if you're
Problem
doing in the little,
solving. Yeah.
you problem solve while it's small, and then when you blow them up, now you have fun. You know what I
Right.
mean? Have fun
Right.
during the time when you want to have fun. You know what I mean?
I I was pretty dumb going into this. Uh,
I mean,
and
everybody
like
got to
I
sometimes,
no
you know.
yeah, no, I'm laughing at myself looking back at it. Like I could see how stupid and painful I made things for myself. Um,
Right,
when I first started even like stepping into like the whole convention stuff before I went to get my stuff review with Uncle Kanila, I and the way I was drawing was that I never planned at all on the small thumbnail. Now I do. What I need to do
okay,
now is actually spend more time on that thumbnail. I do have thumbnails, but I need to spend more time on those thumbnails, is what I need to work on. But before, no thumbnail, went straight to the big piece of paper, draw it out,
right,
went straight to ink it, messed up, scrap it,
yeah,
went back to draw it again.
yeah,
And it was painful and I couldn't let go of like making mistakes and starting over again. But when I started over again, I never really fixed the true mistake. I only fixed like the icing on top kind.
right,
And
right, right,
it was it was very dumb. It was very painful. Like I learned.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm learning better now, but yeah.
yeah.
But
Ah,
yeah.
no, but you know what? This is exciting actually because this is like when you make this next jump, it's gonna be fun. Like you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and that's the difference between. So I remember when you was talking about portfolio reviews. Hey Jason, when you was talking about portfolio reviews, you was talking about if you wanted to be on cover artists. Canela, you remember before? It's like nobody could make them as on cover art. Like you had to be really, really, really good for just go straight to cover art. But
Hmm.
now
Mm.
in this crowdfunding world, people make a living just doing like covers. I mean, it's not a good living, but you can just do covers. Like you know what I mean? Then you get the big guys doing covers, but before it's like you couldn't do covers. Like you had to do the inside. Like you got to do the insides. Like you, it was a strong emphasis on um
Pages.
storytelling and yeah, interior work. Like you know what I mean? Hey Jason, what's up, man? Strong emphasis on storytelling, on what goes
Right.
in the book. Now there's so much emphasis on like covers and variant cover because the variant cover gets and
So
you
It's a
you
huge
did
part of
yeah, no,
cover
cover.
no.
picture.
So you so I when I was getting into it and like when I was doing a lot of the Kickstarter stuff, um
Right,
there's a lot of money to be made as a cover artist, but
right,
it you really have to just like drawing certain things so that you build that name. Because what I've
right,
seen, it's more a hype market now. As a
right.
cover artist, you have to be able to pull people into buying just because your name is on it, because it's you.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
your art, depending on which comic you cater to or what kind of audience, some it's the not safe for work, some it's the sexy, the cute kind. It's like whatever style you have to have that niche and you have to have that following to make it big as a cover artist and to make it successful of a living is what I've noticed from my time working in all those projects, you know. And I've had struggles where I the way so a lot of it that does well on Kickstarter from what I've seen from my own experience are a lot of the sexy, the not safe for work, and very sexy, everything sexualized and to an extent with these cover. And people just buy it because the cover. And
Yeah.
but I for me, I'm like, yeah, the term sexy to me, I
Yeah.
think you can still have sexy, but you can have it classy. You can still
Yeah.
have it where it tells a
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
Because every time I get a cover work, I will ask like, what's the story? What's in this issue? What's the story behind this character? What's the significance of this and that to her, you know, or him? It's like so I try to at least have some kind of story element into it. Do my best to do it where it's like but based on what I know, even if it's one liner, it's like, okay, here, you know, the one that I think I personally think I did my best to do it was a one liner on a character and she was going from being human to experimenting herself with like biochemical. So to me, that's all I know of her. And so how can I tell a story now with that? Like I have no idea what the book is about. I just have this character design
Yeah.
and this one liner. So I just say, well, you know what? I know that she's went from human to being less human in some extent. So let me tell the story by her injecting herself with stuff and making a sequential cover, you know, showing her the first cover being warmer colors and then the second cover being a cooler color. So it tells her being warm as a person to being like a machine cold. So that's the
Mm,
best I could do, right? That I thought
yeah.
of. But
Yeah.
things like
Yeah.
that. She still has that body of a woman, sexualized to an extent, but she's not pornographic,
Right.
is
Right.
what I would say. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the thing with
And yeah.
yeah, cover art nowadays. You just have to have the clout, the following.
Yeah. And Amy said, but your cover art has to tell a story. And yeah, cover art does have to tell a story.
It
But what I'm
should.
saying, yeah, it should. But what I'm saying is before, when you went to the portfolio reviews before, was like, oh, how dare you ask for just two covers? You know what I mean? Remember
Yeah.
that, Canela? You remember
Um,
those days?
I was smart enough not even to try to ask for just cover work.
Yeah, I know, and
So
I'm not saying that I did, but I know plenty of people that artists, they're really ballsy. You know what I mean? They just ask for, especially young artists, like you know what I mean. They just ask for.
nowadays they are. I don't know that they were like there was a whole lot like that when I was starting in the industry, but I sure do see a lot of it now, and
Yeah,
it's almost to the point where it's become a cultural thing
Yeah.
where
yeah,
the
Scroll through Kickstarter.
yeah
yeah.
um, I don't know
Kids
I
change things.
I
So,
I'm of a feeling that if you're uh, working in comics, you should know how to do comics.
hmm
Covers are illustrations. They're one-time images where you can tell a story, yes, but I I don't know that I like the idea of just somebody being a cover artist. Would
right?
actually preferred in when I was reading comics as a kid. I preferred to see the covers done by the artists that were doing the interior of the story. I wanted to see their work, and I would buy the books because I wanted to see their work. I didn't want to see somebody else's work,
Mhm.
which right. So
Yep.
and
It-
yeah, that's all I got to say about that.
I
Yeah.
get disappointed when cover doesn't match the interior or vice versa.
Right? Now,
Me
I
if
get
too.
it's an
disappointed.
alternative color cover, I'm okay with it because at least there's an original real
Right,
cover that shows
right.
what the story is about. Alternative colors are just that; they're an alternative. But if you're trying to promote a book and the artist who's doing the cover is not even involved in the story at all, okay. But I see that you're just trying to do it to make more money by getting people who like that artist's work to like either work.
Yeah.
And I guess there's nothing wrong with that if that's your plan. It's not something that I would prefer myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but on and I know that a number of variant covers will raise the amount of money you can make
Oh,
because people,
absolutely.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
People will
absolutely.
go and back at a higher tier because you got these variants, you know what I mean? Which is okay, that's great, but I don't know, it's just not my and I had you and I had on and Mog and I get variant covers. It's just I don't think I
Sure.
can do them to the degree that some of these guys do them. You know what I mean?
Some of them
Yeah.
get like 50.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
It's not okay. So that's another thing. If you're gonna be a cover artist, you should be picky with which project. Like when if you first started out, I was there. Like you get I get where you have to just get whatever work that comes your way because
Right,
it
right,
pays the bill. So
right.
yeah, you can't be choosy, but when you can afford to, you should be
Mm-hmm.
choosy with what projects because it actually could hurt you in the sense that so I if you end up working with publisher writers who just have 50 or like a god awful amount of covers, you know, it's like which is fine, that's their own choosing.
Right, right.
But
That's
if
their
you
choice. Yeah,
don't have,
they like do
yeah, if
that.
you don't have your strong following of people who have that extra spending money to
Right.
go and just buy every single project you're on. So I had that problem where I was a part of too many Kickstarter projects that were released around the same time. Now I have buyer fatigue. All my followers, they might love my work, but I can't just be like, hey, here's another one, spend another 15-20 bucks right now.
Right, right,
Hey, next week there's another one, people. it- I am very much aware of the everyday people who pick up the comics and the everyday people spending, it's like, what can they do? So I rather
right.
scale back now, that's why I've been doing scale back and
Yeah.
put more time and quality into projects I care for. That way
Yep.
it makes it worth their time too. And
Mm-hmm.
instead of like just going at it, at one point you become just a factory and your work
Yep.
really over time doesn't worth as much in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, if you're in that one project where there's a god awful amount of covers, you get very under.
Yeah.
You get very under because people can't find you or they have so many choices to make. So it's like
Hmm.
they get fatigued too, you know. So yeah, when it came to like decision making or design that I learned from high school classes was that you want to give people the best numbers between 2 to 3 choices. If you can, give them two, because you're gonna less you won't overwhelm people's mind as much with too many choices for them to make. So if you can narrow down choices, that's the better option. Is what I learned. But
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Let's move on to the next question. Actually, let's continue with the question that we had before that we didn't finish.
Oh yeah,
I was
sorry.
gonna ask. Actually, I was gonna ask this advice. Who do you ask And what do you ask? Is the question that On posed to us. On, tell us why you suggested that question.
Well, kind of tied into the portfolio stuff earlier, because after a while, like you go to the con, you say you have all these people at your expense to go and ask and talk to, right? Say I want to get into penciling. It's like obviously I shouldn't go talk to a colorist, or maybe I should if I'm trying to work with a colorist. What line work should be better for them to work, or get to know what they're looking for or what their struggle is when they're coloring a penciler's work or a line work, you know. But personally, maybe I should go look to talk to an inker. Like this is what I realized when I spoke to Mr. Scott Hanna, because I never really knew, you know, how much trouble an inker went through and what they could teach me, you know, and what they noticed from pencilers' mistakes and stuff like that. So
Oh
it's
yeah.
like, yeah. So it's like you have all these people around you. It's like you can't just end up asking everyone the same thing, you know, or asking um everything to one person, you know. So like that's why I wonder, like, what should you ask and who should you ask it to?
Okay. I have certain philosophies with regards to inking and coloring, which would make me challenge the idea that you need to ask them what they want. My philosophy with inking and coloring is that we make what the penciler has done look good. That's my whole job. That's
Mm-hmm.
one of my major jobs is to enhance what the penciler is doing. Now, would there be things that would make my job easier? Sure, but I don't know that that's something that a penciler needs to be worried about. It's not my job to tell them how to do their job as a colorist
Mm-hmm.
and having as a professional colorist. Um, it's my job to work with what I'm given. And there are in my coloring philosophy, I have a number of things. It refers to clarity, focus, depth, and mood.
Right.
And those are the things that I'm focused on when I'm coloring. And I don't know that there's value in hearing what I have to say about what you're doing because my job isn't to tell you how to do what you're doing. My job is to make what you're done look better. And so
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, how much I could give a penciler with regards to um, how a colorist works or what I
I
find to be most convenient for me as a means of bettering you as a penciler.
right. I,
But that being said, as artists, most colorists are very accomplished artists in general. And I'm not saying the best, but we tend to have a broad range of abilities because we didn't. None of us really started off thinking that we were going to become colorists. We all
right.
thought that we were going to be something else. I knew one that wanted to be a wildlife painter, and he Alex Sinclair still does that, but that's like the thing that he does to 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 help himself get over those creative ruts. The thing that he does that's not comics that gives him joy. And I think those are the kind of things that are really helpful for pencilers and inkers and colors in general is to have those kinds of things that give us joy artistically that aren't comics because it helps us to get over those creative ruts and those burnout things that we talked about earlier. Now,
Right.
for me personally, if you want to become a penciler, you should be talking to pencilers. You should be talking to people that are good at it and whose work you admire. And maybe they do something that really well that you'd really like to add into your work. Ask them about that.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get so good at designing your pages? Why do you do things this way and not this way like this other artist does? And
Right.
then presenting your work to them as, hey, this is what I'm doing. How can I improve based on your experience? And what that does is that you're getting specific information from the specific career that you're looking into. And I think that's probably the best way to do it myself. That doesn't mean
Right.
that other people I can't give you good reviews and good information, because, I've been around comics for a lot of years, and I've seen both good and bad comics. And I think that because of that experience and being around them, I can say something valuable to you. But I'm also a painter and an illustrator and a cartoonist in my own right. But, I just don't have anything published necessarily. I do have a few things published, but they're very small. But ask the
Right.
people who do what you want to do for advice. It's my advice about
Yes.
who and what
Yes.
to ask.
Yeah, I think my example with the whole penciler colors inker kind of wasn't the best, but that you pretty much
It's
answered what I
fine.
wanted.
And
Yeah.
and honestly, and like I said, everyone that you speak to who is working in, has been around comics, will probably have something good for you to say to you.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't a inker at the time, but I was dabbled in it, and I asked Uncle Steve Lealoha at the very first Maui Comicon in Lahaina. I said, "What is the one piece of advice that you would give to any person trying to become an inker?" And to this day, I still find it to be one of the best pieces of advice that I've ever gotten. Slow down, and then when you think you're slow enough, slow down some more. Because inking is an exercise in deliberance. You are deliberately making a mark, and it's set in stone when you make that mark. And nowadays with digital inking, whatever, it's not the case. But if you're learning how to do traditional inking, once you make that mark, it's done. It's there. So you have to be very deliberate with it. You can't really fake it at all. So
Right.
that,
Right.
and I wanted to learn inking at the time because I was trying to teach myself. So I asked him, a old school, well
Yep.
worked. He's done a lot of work for many years, for advice, and I think it was really valuable advice. And I
Right.
appreciated it. DJ, what do you think?
Sorry, what were we talking about again?
Advice. Who do you ask and what do you ask?
Okay, yeah. So I would always ask the current problem that I was trying to work out. Like, you know what I mean? That's where all my questions come from. It's like, okay, what is the thing that I need right now? And that's going to be always questions that I ask. Is the current problem,
what is your current struggle?
Yeah, the current struggle. That's always the thing that I'm going to ask, because no sense asking something that I don't understand, right? I'm going to always ask something that I'm trying to understand. You know what I mean? And so,
Sure.
yeah. So, but then, yeah, I honestly, what An said, I thought was pretty awesome. Like, you ask when, if you're penciling and you could talk to an inker, like, okay, I could see the value in that, because as if you're only working with pencils and then all of a sudden you gotta start inking now, you're gonna start thinking different, right? And so it's like, oh, I never thought about that actually. Like, I would probably never think about that, but it does make sense. But
yeah,
I would
I think just
like
gotta be more intentional with what you ask or who you ask. Because, like, for me, I was just kind of shove around, so almost like asking blindly.
mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. But always would ask and also it's who you ask too, right? You ask the
Right.
like the worst people for advice and they give you the worst advice, you know what I mean? And it's like no, you don't want that. Like you want to ask somebody that you respect, somebody whose opinion that you respect and not, you know, some somebody who just like to hear themselves speak or whatever, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So and get a
yeah.
lot of
People
those
who like
too.
to hear themselves speaking. Yeah.
People who yeah, they like the I don't know, they like to just fill up the air with something. I don't know. But
With mouth farts.
I remember I was walking in right before, like I don't even consider this guy my first portfolio review, but that is actually my first portfolio review. Was this guy, and then he saw me walking in with the black folder that we all
Yeah,
get, right? Sees that,
yeah.
and he was like, "Oh, hi." Start making small talk with me and my wife, and then "Oh, you guys from Hawaii? Da 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 da. Oh, you mind if I take a look at your work?" I was like, "Okay, shoots." So he's and then he started criticizing my work, and it's like, "Okay, fine." And
Who
he's
are
like,
you?
"Yeah, exactly." So that's the next question, right? Who are you? And then so he turn around and he get like all of these like gay porn kind comics, and I'm like, "Oh my god, this is like you know what I mean?" Like, and he is the most like elementary advice ever. But I gonna be nice and just take the advice. But you know what I mean? So looking at his stuff and like my wife is giggling, like you know what I mean? Because you know what I mean? Like this guy and he went Mahaoi. Like he went over for ask me for do the review. Like you know what I mean? Like you said, I'm gonna go to somebody that I respect, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I had that and I was like, oh my god, babe, this guy was telling me this and that. I was like, look at his art and it looks like the most like I don't know, like the most elementary kind of thing ever. Like, you know what I mean? And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, my wife's
What
not an
am I
art.
learning? What am I going to learn from you? Kind of a thing,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. It's like I cannot learn nothing from this guy. And not only that, he took a long time for just come at me like you know what I mean? Like he was a professional because he had his table and sure, okay, yeah, you're a professional, you got table and all of that, but just looking at the quality of the art, I was like, nah, no, bro.
Lados
Thank
for you,
you.
bro.
Thank you for your time.
And that's actually an interesting thing. Being friends with both Amy and me, um, both of you have access to more professionals than you would have previously. Like, while I'm not wouldn't consider him personal friends, I know who Jimmy is. He knows my name. I can actually sit down and talk with him at some point, and I can present to him your work and in the work of anyone else because he knows who I am, and I've actually done that for people in the past. And
Mm.
that's people who you respect are the people that Amy and I actually know, which is really kind of interesting.
Yeah,
Now I know a lot of the younger guys. Amy knows and has relationships with a lot of we call them the old men of the industry, which is pretty cool.
that is
That's
cool.
sweet.
All right, let's take a look at the next thing. On asks again in another question, what is one thing you often struggle to draw? What are you doing to practice? DJ?
Oh, what am I struggling to draw? I gotta think about that one.
I'll try to answer it myself. Struggle for me is not what, and it's not a struggle. The struggle to me is drawing. For
Oh,
me, when you're doing things that you already know, that's not
Mm-hmm.
while it is putting pen to paper or pencil to paper, it's not it's almost not work.
Mm.
But when you have to struggle with it, that's to me actually that's almost the fun part of art,
Yeah.
solving problems. And while um I do struggle with things sometimes, whether it's anatomy or foreshortening or a good design or a lack of ways to fill up the paper, because my design isn't really fully realized. I don't find it to be. I don't see it as a difficulty. It's not a,
Mm-hmm.
the struggle to me, the problem solving, that is the fun part to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I've noticed it more lately since I've been doing more like painting, like traditional painting in acrylic and oils. Everything I do in acrylic and oils for the first, I don't know, 50% of the painting or the illustration is ugly. It's horrible. I can't believe I'm doing it. Why do I even try? And then right up as I tilt past the 50% mark, it's like, oh, okay, this kind of looks good. And then, okay, that's even better. And so to me, the struggle is just part of the process. It's
Yeah.
not really a problem. And practice, I'm always practicing. To me, practice
Yeah.
is a part of it. And like even this cover, this image that I'm inking right now, and I'm spending way too much time on these little circles. Thanks, Joe, Super Joe, for putting all of these little circles for me to make on this freaking image. It'll look good when I'm done though. But to me, the struggle is actually the point. It's what makes it worthwhile. It's what makes what we do difficult for other people because they don't want the struggle. And I've seen that so much with the kids that I work with at the detention home, is that they don't want to struggle. They want everything to fall into their laps. They want the easy money. They want to draw and they want it to look like Michelangelo. They don't want to spend the time to find where their weaknesses are and improve it because they want to be everything to be given to them right now. And that's probably my biggest struggle in teaching art to these kids, is getting them to realize that making mistakes and struggling, I guess you want to say, if I say it's not a struggle, but it is a struggle, especially when you're young and at it, is what you need to do to get better at anything, whether it's drawing or football or welding. The struggle and the grind of practice, that's where you get good. No one starts off being good. It doesn't happen at all. Even the ones that are good have lots to learn still, even when you are good at it. And that's an interesting thing. That's another, I think, important point I'm gonna stress right now. When I was working at Wildstorm, the general manager of Wildstorm was John Nee, who is currently the president of Marvel Comics. He asked me at an interview in his office one day, a few months into my job there. He said, "Kanila, do you know what you don't know?" And I said, "No, I don't even know what I don't know yet." He said, "Okay." 6 months later, he asked me the same question. And I said something I think that he appreciated, because and I learned this strictly by doing what I was doing in my job. He asked the same question, "Do you know what you don't know?" And I stopped and I said to him this time, I said, "No, I don't really know what I don't know, but I realize the more that I learn about things, the more I realize I don't really know anything." The more you learn, the more you realize there's more to learn.
Yep.
And you're never going to master everything. And I think that's a huge and important thing for anyone to learn, is that, yeah, you might be good at it, but there's still so much to learn and get good at and to master.
Yeah.
It makes it fun.
Makes it worthwhile, I think, too.
Yeah.
If everything came easy, would it be really worth doing?
Yeah.
You won't value it as much.
Everybody would do it. If it were easy, everybody would do it.
If it were easy, everyone would do it.
For me, the struggle is, and I recognize the fault. So before I get to that, I gotta kind of preface on this, and that's that the reason why I wanted to do Exilian is because I never lived in New York City. You know what I mean? I live in Hawaii, so I needed the place to kind of come alive, and so I needed some place where I could make up the backgrounds or make up the world. You know what I mean? I could create the world, and so the struggle that I'm struggling with currently is if the world is always conjured up by my mind, then I now have no like reference point. Like you know what I mean? Or if I draw a reference, I'm drawing from so many different things that it's not consistent. You know what I mean? And so that's
Mm-hmm.
the thing that I'm struggling with now. And I wish I don't know. I just as I mature as a person, I realize, oh, okay, I can I can take certain shortcuts, but after a while, it's like the Carl Potts gonna figure them out. The Howard Chaykin's gonna figure, like you know what I mean. Like you think about things as you go along. It's like the people that have been doing them a long time, they'll figure it out. Like you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They'll
See what you're trying to do and say, hey,
yeah,
you're not doing this very well.
trying
Yep.
to overcompensate for this and that, and they're gonna figure that out. Like you know what I mean, which to me is awesome because it's like okay, there's really no faking it. You gotta do them. Like you know what I mean. You gotta go through the struggle, the hard part of building up that vocabulary or whatever you call it. You know what I mean, so that you
Yep.
can not faking them.
Visual
You're not
joke.
anymore. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
You
No, I
really
totally
do.
get it. All right.
But yeah,
Next question.
For me, it's just slow down and plan more.
Right? Slow down and plan more. All right.
oh, it's fun. You know what?
Eh.
Yeah.
All right. Here's a good one. Do you have a practice or routine that you do before you start working? DJ?
I do. I usually sketch. I usually do a warm up sketch. Or here's my warm up sketch. Well, not that I'm going, not that I'm going to kind. You know,
Mm.
do this. How do I do it? That's right. How do I Oh yeah, right. Yeah. This is my warm up sketch right here. You know, I do
Good.
fun. I do something fun so that I can get the confidence going. I draw best when I'm confident. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I gotta do something that I really want to do. It's easy. Like it's gonna really boost my confidence, so that when I get into the pages, like my confidence is up high. So I don't gotta I don't gotta worry about trying to build them as I do the page. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's yeah. I do
That's
the I
interesting that
do
for you, confidence is an important part of drawing. Um, for me, when it comes to coloring, my confidence comes from the fact that I've been doing it for so many years. I don't really have anything with regards to coloring that I really question how to do or why I do it. I just do it nowadays, and
yeah.
it took me a long time to get there, right? But
Right.
Mhm.
nowadays, because I've had the experiences that I have, I don't I don't have to think hard about what I'm doing. It
Yeah.
just happens because I've done it so often. And I have a feeling that as both of you gain more and more experience drawing and doing pages and covers and so forth, that you'll also do be able to get to places like that as where you're not really trying anymore. You're just executing your vision. Period. If that
No,
makes sense.
I don't think for me I know the answer to that, and I always gotta it's not that I'm not confident, it's just that I gotta get familiarized with the tools. I gotta
Hmm.
calibrate my brain. Like you know what I mean? I gotta calibrate my brain from not drawing to drawing. and that's
No,
what the
no,
war.
no, totally. I totally see that. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So it's
And
like it's not that I don't have confidence in myself. I have confidence in myself, but I gotta be like, I gotta be what's the word? I gotta be flowing. Like, you know what I mean? I gotta get to that flow stage, that flow state. When I get to that flow state, then I know I'm good. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
so
I do.
you know, when it's flowing, when it's like, okay, I'm firing on, like, my creative side is firing on all cylinders. Now I can get into the page. Now I can, that way I can, you know, I can put my best work on the page. And that's what, it's something I just, yeah, I learned from Uncle Steve. It's like, y- you put the best on the page. You put the best of yourself that day on the page, because that thing will go to print, and that thing will always remind you, like, oh, you could have did better. And if I know, even if I improve over time, but I know at that point in time when I drew that comic, that was the best that I could do, I still happy. When I look at these old comics that I did, and I see that I, you know, I'm half-assed this page. Now I'm like, oh God, I wish I never half-assed this page. You know what I mean? I
Hmm.
wish I took the time. I wish you know what I mean? I really wish I took the time. I really wish I stopped, you know, work on my perspective, work on my whatever I need to work on, and then did the page. Like, you know what I mean? And if, because you know where you at any given point in time, you know what I mean? So you know it's like, okay, at this point in time, I know I was learning this and I never know that, and so that's good enough. But when you see that I know I could have done this and I never do that, oh, that sucks, man. So
Mm. And for me, like, if I know, like, I just learned something from recently, like, it, oh, like late last year, I got into practicing figures or gesture a little bit more. You know, I still have to work on it, but I started. If I I don't always do it, but when I feel like I want to do a little warm up, I always draw um kind of like figurative shapes. Not like I put on a video of people posing yoga formation and then to sketch them real quick, kind. And then just work on like action lines, things like that. It's like when I just pick up on something new, I want to practice it, and then after a little bit, I go straight to like just straight on drawing because I think that's also practice in itself because you're problem solving right there too.
nice, nice, nice.
But yeah, routine
All
wise,
right.
I need water.
You need to go get water. Go get water.
No, a cup of water. Always before I sit down to start drawing something, I need a cup of water. I need a cup of something to drink. Not alcohol. I've dropped that alcohol.
Thank goodness.
Boba, coffee, latte, something.
All right. I am done.
Done. Yay, all the little circles.
Nice.
It is a very nice piece.
I think the most difficult thing to do here was interpret the lines on Wolverine's arms. Oh, I'm not done yet. I found something I forgot.
Uh-oh.
Wolverine's hairy arms.
Oh yeah, that's the fun part.
Do you do
I don't
that
know about
often, like
fun.
where you forget a little bit of like the piece? Like, you think you're
Um,
done, but then you forgot like a whole section. Do you do that often?
I don't do that often, but it does happen. Um, it has to do, especially if I'm working digitally, because you're not
Mm-mm.
seeing the whole page. A
Right.
lot of times I'm focused, so like zoomed in.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I'm on a
Um,
wait.
I
Go
I
ahead.
tend to do that like um I was scanning a piece and as
Yeah.
it's scanning in, and I'm looking at the result, and I was like, something looks wrong. And then I pulled a piece out of
Something's
the
missing.
printer,
What did I forget?
right? And so I pulled a piece out of the scanner, and I'm just staring at it, and I was like, oh, I'm dumb.
What's up, Frank? What's up, brother Frank? And Jason said, "Gonna crash. Have a great night, y'all. Night, Jason. Thank you for coming on." Amy said, "Variants are marketing tools. Period."
And I
Right.
don't disagree.
Yep. Yep. Oh, so the cover should also indicate what's inside. I hate when it's totally different story from. Yeah, me too. That's the. Oh, this is a good. This brings up a good conversation. I'm struggling. I'm struggling with this Kamehameha cover. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
why?
Because it's got to be one. It's got to be iconic. Two, it's gotta reflect the story inside.
Hmm.
Three, we did so many variant covers that like my ideas kind of got not stolen, but like used already. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So, oh man, so I gotta do something like it's gotta kill like not kill,
What
but it's gotta, like gotta be so good. You know what I mean?
one of the things I tend to do with some of the covers that I work on is to pick out a moment in that issue
Yeah.
that is important. Just pick out that
Yes,
moment
yes, yes,
and then
yes, yes,
focus
yes,
on that feeling of that.
yes, yes.
That's what I do
Okay, let
personally.
me. Yeah, and I had that, but because it's Kamehameha, there's so many image like so like all of them all of that you just said, like somebody already did all of those things. You know what I
For
mean?
this issue,
Not yeah, because it's the not
oh
because it's the origins of King Kamehameha. Like
yeah,
you, so when the people that know the story, they think about like Naiole running with him as a baby, and
yeah,
Hmm.
then
yeah.
there's a book with literally that on the cover. Like you know
Right,
what I
right,
mean?
right,
So now
right,
if I change the angle, that image is already out there. You know what I mean?
right.
Yeah.
But what else is there? You know, like
Okay, yeah. So yeah,
within your issue
no,
of
this
what's
is my issue, but
happening.
this is the story that everybody knows. You know what I mean?
Mm-mm.
So
So
I
Mm.
mean, I
it's like saying, what part of the Jesus story should I use to illustrate the cover that's never been used before? It doesn't happen.
There's
It already
none.
exists.
yeah.
So
Well, I mean, well, Jesus is a lot more used than Kamehameha, but still, yeah, the
Absolutely.
all
But no,
iconic
still.
images of Kamehameha is taken already. You know what I mean? And then I did one of when he's a kid, but there's a cover for that. You know what I mean? So I gotta do my own cover, and I wanna
version.
wanna show him as a child. So the image that I have in mind is that I want to show him as a child, and he's looking in the water, and in the water is the reflection of him as a king. You know
Mm.
what I mean? But
Yeah, I
then
think so.
my problem with that is if which one is I think the child should be the stronger image. You know what I mean? And then the hint should be um
It's like a foreshadowing.
the hint should the image of him as king shouldn't be so bombastic. You know what I mean? It should be
Yeah,
subtle. It should be like on hint. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I gotta work on that. And then one other problem that I'm trying to work out in my mind is that um Uncle Steve gonna ink me. You know what I mean? So I gotta
Yeah,
give him some good stuff for ink, like you know what I mean? And then you gonna color
mind
that.
you.
So I gotta this has gotta be the best thing that I ever did.
Just
Like you know what I mean?
just an idea that flowed across my mind. It
Okay.
it may not be a good one or whatever. Oh,
What you
why are we on me?
oh, I thought this
Ha
was
What?
ha ha.
I just
He's
like
on me
talk.
talking.
But
oh
no, like maybe in that reflection, you don't have to have it to be like his actual image as a king. You could do it as almost like a silhouette in the water, maybe a reflection of the sky with birds flying. Because I know, like, he wear that one coat, it's made out of those feathers, right?
Yeah, the yellow. Yeah, the yellow. Feather.
Yeah, those. So what if it's the birds in the sky that are flying in the formation that kind of is the shape of him as a king?
Ah,
Just an idea. Because it's almost foreshadowing a change of the future, and it's not so like it's different. It's not like so verbatim, you know.
right. Yeah, I like
So
that.
that's
This
just an
is
idea. Yeah.
so okay. Right on. At least it gives me some sort of direction. So Frank Raposa said, Kamehameha, FBI from Big Island. That's right. That's right. In
So,
fact, Uncle Steve, okay, so Uncle Steve Lealoha, his family name is Kale Mamahu. Kale Mamahu is Kamehameha's half brother. So they're directly related to the king. My wife. I call
oh,
her she got Ali'i blood in her. And I'm the Maka'ainanara, commoner. Actually not though, because my last name is Kiawe Kane and Chief Kiawe, right? So
Mm. Well, my
anyways,
family, interestingly, my family is from the line of priests for Poliahu.
oh really?
Yes.
Okay.
The family is from Honoka'a and in that area. And the original name was Kealoha Poliahu Alo Noiku, which was I believe the translation is one who stands and converses with Poliahu.
Okay. That makes sense that your mom
Anyway,
lives in Waimea. You know what I mean? Makes
but
sense.
anyway, moving on.
Amy said, how about the reflection of the islands in the water where he's holding it while he's still a kid? It's a lot of drawings, like the idea, but it's a lot, it's a lot. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a good
It's
idea. It's a lot of work. I don't know if I really want to do that.
well, with An's idea, I just gotta. So I gotta talk to
the shape
to
of
get that
the birds.
the feather lays, yeah, the feather.
Yeah.
I gotta figure out what that actual bird looked like. You know what I mean?
No, I forget the name. I only remember when I went to
I don't know.
Bishop Museum.
Yeah. I gotta find reference for that.
I believe it's a mamo bird.
Mama bird.
Mama.
Is that the one with yellow?
The mamo
Okay.
is the one with a small tuft of yellow feathers just underneath their wing.
See,
I
Frank Rosa.
Yeah. I just remember like going there and seeing the cape or whatever they had left on in the museum. I was like, that's a lot of birds. But yeah, no, it's like I like the symbolism and things too. It's like with the birds, it's almost like those soldiers that follow him to the end, right? It's like that's almost symbolic to me. Like
Yeah.
that many birds that made up his coat, that holds up his coat is also like
Yeah.
those soldiers that follow him through the end of it. But yeah.
Yeah, man, I like that.
Just something to flash across.
That would be oh, okay. That would okay. I gotta think about them. I gotta think about them in lines
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
lines and ink lines, and I gotta think about Uncle Steve's ink work, which is really strong, and I gotta give him pencils for work with, but I can work with. That's a lot I can work with. And then the good thing is Kanila can color them, and he can do color holds of over Uncle's line art. So
That'd be nice. Yeah. Well, Yeah, no, just play with it. You don't have to use that if it's too much. But yeah.
Well, something to think about. I'll try it. If it doesn't come out right,
Mhm.
I just gotta keep trying. Like it's
Yeah. Yeah.
my deadline. I gotta get them printed before amazing. You know what I mean?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
For amazing. Then I get like oh, I was actually supposed to have them before. Supposed to have them before Discon and have them ready for go at Discon, but I got too busy.
Mhm.
Too
No, that's what I've also come to accept is that like as artists, or I've heard a lot of artists in the past where they're like, "Oh, I'm so behind on this and that," and I was like, "What you mean?" And now I'm like, I am
Now you know
so
what they
behind.
mean.
I am so behind. I had all these things planned, so they're pushed back. But yeah, yeah, no. Well, should we call it a wrap soon? It's 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Yeah, and we're all tired, and it's almost midnight. So,
Yeah.
one last thing before we go. Um, what is your favorite TV show? On.
Favorite TV show? I haven't really watched a TV or the TV in a long time. I used to watch Big Bang Theory.
I don't mean necessarily your
Oh,
current one. I mean, like of
oh,
all time, maybe.
all time. I don't really watch TV. Does Netflix and Disney count?
I would say
If-
yes, but it depends
yeah,
on
The
what show it is.
Witcher.
The Witcher. Okay. DJ.
I'd have to say Friends.
Friends.
Friends. I've not
For
watched
me, my favorite show is Swanee. I am not talking for another 2 hours. Sorry. My favorite television show is one that I watched at least 4 or 5 times over. It's Stargate SG-1, and I've watched all 10 seasons at least 5 times.
I couldn't get into that, bro. It was too nerdy for me. Oh, Frank said
Star
had
Wars.
one live action show in the early 80s about Kamehameha growing up was on PBS. Maybe the Naha Stone. The Naha Stone is coming up next in the next issue. By the way, the next issue we're gonna be the Naha Stone. I can't wait to do that one.
And yes, I remember that the documentary, Frank. Do believe it was a PBS documentary. I just don't know that it's there anymore. Yeah, Swan. I am not talking for 2 more hours, Swan. I need to go to sleep. I gotta go to work tomorrow.
Oh, you gotta work. I thought you said you was calling in.
No, we're gonna be short staffed a little bit, so I'm going to go in the morning, but I'm gonna leave a little early, and I'm gonna leave instead of going to a meeting I'm supposed to go to. I'm gonna be sick. And I just told that on the entire internet, didn't I? Never mind. That's not going to happen. Anyway, I am going to call this. Thank you, On and DJ, for talking, for being on the show. We are going to have. We're going to Maui Comicon on Saturday morning, and most of the On and I are returning on Sunday night. We will probably stream again once, probably while we're at Maui Comic Con. I think it would be important for us to do so. And then we'll come back to our regular stream again next week, Thursday. Thank you so much for those of you who have stayed with us. Swanee, Frank, Amy, I guess, if you're still there. And we appreciate you.
Noble.
Feel free to share with everyone that we are doing these shows. I don't know how much people get off out of our conversing about this stuff, but I enjoy it, and I think both On and DJ do as well. So
Yeah.
I like
thanks
this
again.
conversation.
Thanks again, guys, and we'll see you on Saturday. Oh, On, I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. But
Yay.
DJ, we'll see you Saturday morning.
Yep. I will see you guys. All right. Hello, everybody.
All right, hello.
Oh, goodbye.